Hey guys, what's up? I had a comment saying you should really take a look at the Mengarini Gambit against the Sicilian. So that's from somebody with a completely unpronounceable username, but there you go. And I've checked it out, and me like very much. And it's very, very similar to the wing gambit or the delayed wing gambit. So what I thought I'd do in this video is part of my own initiation into the Mengarini. I'm going to walk you through a few lines. I've got like a dozen nearly. So the idea here is sit back. I'm just learning this as well, so sit back and enjoy. So we'll start with like the mainline ideas. So obviously it's E4, C5, the Sicilian defense. Now the immediate wing gambit, you can go with B4 here. The Mengarini is kind of delayed with A3. Some people will also start with like an open Sicilian and then go for this delayed wing gambit idea, I think. But anyway, we'll go through the main line. So A3. And the idea of this is that we are preparing to push B4. We want to exchange a bunch of stuff on here. We're going to open up this A file. But then the other idea is your knight could very often come and attack C7. Now, this is a theme in all the wing gambit ideas. Okay, and the most common move here from black is knight C6. Okay, and we go right ahead, charge in, horns down with pawn to B4. They will often take, usually take. We take back with the A pawn, and we have given up a pawn. But what do we have in compo? Well, this knight has moved twice. This knight is now also behind enemy lines and has become a target. All right. Now, most popular move here is actually C3, immediately kicking the knight. But we don't do that. We grab the center with pawn to D4. And we are holding back on the move C3. Most common move by black is D5, and we ignore this tension between the pawns. We just go ahead and kick the knight, and the knight will retreat back to where it came from. Okay, so far so good. We capture, queen captures, and now we kind of come to the point. This, and remember, this is all the most common moves played by black, right? This is the signature move from white. Knight to A3, because we have a pawn on C3 already, and we are threatening to come in here. Notice this square is defended by the bish, and nothing is currently looking at the C7 square. So what is what's black going to do? They push this pawn. Now this goes immediately +2 in white's favor. Why? Because our knight now dives in. So what we're going to do here, we're going to force the queen to come back. She's only got 2 squares where she can go to defend this square, yeah? She can't go to this one because knight takes. So most common, queen will go all the way back to D8. We push on. I mean, this is I love the aggression here, and I love these central pawn pushes. The knight is forced back here. Now, yeah, in fact, the most common move, no, the computer says knight F6 is actually the best move here, believe it or not, but no, knight B8, a knight to E7, knight C to E7 is sometimes played, okay, but we're going with the main line here, okay. Now we push on again. Can you Adam and Eve it? Right, so what's the threat here? Okay, knight A6 is the most common move, okay. The top 5 computer lines, nothing involves like bishop takes here, because we've got 2 defenders. They actually can't, they'll just lose a piece because it's defended by the queen and the knight, right? So knight A6, we snatch off the knight and boom. White is +11. They're in check, we're about to grab the rook. Sexy gambit, okay. So just sit back now. We're going to walk through some lines. So the idea here is not to remember a bunch of moves. This is not a theory exercise yet. This is about getting the feel for the opening. All right. The Mengarini. Here we go. Knight comes out. So this is mainline stuff. This is like the mainline position. And again, we push D4. Okay. The engine slightly favours black here because we are a pawn down, but it only slightly favours black, okay? Now, d5, we hit the knight, knight comes back, we take, okay? Queen takes, knight here, and now from this position, notice these three moves, right? Knight f6, pawn to e6, pawn to e5, and they all come with a big downside, and they are the 1, 2, and 3 most common moves, okay? We're actually going to look at the fourth as well here. So, e5, in comes the knight. Again, look, defended by this bishop, again, threatening c7 square. Now, if they come out, most common move, actually, yeah, queen d8 is playable. Queen d8 is the number one. But if bishop to here, we come out and we hit the queen. Now, you might be thinking, well, doesn't that just blunder a piece? Well, no, because the queen can't take here. The queen takes. Queen's the only defender of this bishop. The queen takes there. We take the bishop, and it's a royal fork, king and queen. So that's not even possible. Queen comes into here, we block, and now the bishop comes back. Now, I'll show you what happens here. We simply castle, okay, and discovery against the queen. White is better. Now, there is also another line here. If the bishop doesn't go back and black thinks about getting greedy and capturing here, a thunder blunder there, okay? We hit the queen. Queen gets even greedier. And now we come in against the king, defended, and it's plus 11, man. 11 now for white. We've got all the development, you know, we've got all the activity, and it should be very hard to lose from this position. Okay, so let's have another foray. The Mengarini, knight comes out, trade everything off, and d4, as usual, right? d6 is played, we hit the knight, knight comes back, and we capture. Queen takes, and knight to a3, the signature move. Okay, and now we're looking at the second of these. So we've looked at e5. Knight f6 looks very, very tempting. Black's thinking, I've got 3 pieces out on the board. Yeah, pawns are equal. What's not to like? We come in as usual with this threat. So we're pretty much undeveloping this queen already, right? Queen dives back here. We push. Pawn to d5, hitting the knight. Knight moves. We hit the knight again. Right? This knight pivots round to defend his friend. We hit it again. They defend again with a pawn. And we are simply now threatening to dive in here as well with our knight. Okay? Bishop c4. Knight comes in, hitting the queen, hitting the bishop. And it's plus 9, believe it or not, in white's favour now. He's really weakened the king side here. We're getting ready to castle. What nice positions you're getting out of this. Okay, let's look at e6 now. Okay, this is the main line. Hit the knight, retreats, takes, and here. Now, e6. Already not good. Again, the knight flies in. Again, the queen undevelops. The bishop now flies out with extra cover on c7. They try and block. We take. And now there is tension between the queens. Most common moves are to trade off the queen. And now this king has to move because we're threatening this, right? Yeah, I mean, the rook could go there as well, but the king's going to be forced to move whatever happens. And notice as well, it was almost mate. You know, after knight to here, the king only has this square. Okay, this is now plus 6. We come in anyway, force the rook to move, pivot round with check. Again, plus 5.9. We are just better, and white wins 77% of the time from here. Okay, going to look at just one more, because I thought it was popular enough. If anything above like 10% chance, I tend to have a look at. Takey, okay, hit the knight, knight retreats, we take in the middle, and knight to here. Okay, now, this is the fourth most common move, a6. And again, we can just fly in, knight b5. Pawn can't take because it hangs the rook. The pawn is pinned, right? So, again, back comes the queen. Again, we push in the middle. Knight pivots round. This is a nice move. So now we are threatening this knight again. What they're going to do, again, the weakening f6 You never really want to play that move. Okay, hit the knight again. Bishop comes out. We ignore. Right, they take, and then we take their knight. Okay, we can simply trade off. White is +3 here. Actually, material's kind of equal. We're a pawn down, but we're +3 because we've got this great vanguard in the front here. We're going to have no trouble sweeping up these loose pawns. We are probably going to get our king castle, get the rook out into the game, and it's all good. Right, let's just look at a couple more. A common trap when the gambit is declined. Okay, here we go. E6. Push on with b5. If the knight comes here, the most common move, by the way, played nearly half the time, well, 35% of the time, the most common move, knight here, and c3 traps the knight. The knight is lost. Okay, and if they go back to e7 here, then we just push c3. We're getting ready to occupy the center, and black is actually slightly better in this instance, but it's not the most common move. Okay, just 5 little sidelines here. Okay, this is accepted. Take the center, and now they don't go with the d5 here. They just do this. We push, hit the knight. Okay, develop the bishop. Very nice kind of pattern here. Push on. We've taken f6 away from this knight, and we're just going to develop. We'll get castled, and there's the possibility of a Greek gift later on as well, if you're familiar with that attacking pattern. So all good, very straightforward. Another alternative on move 5. So this is accepted, and if they move the knight straight back, we push on. Super aggressive. I love it. An f4. Love it. Okay. Out we come. And everyone's flying in. White is +2 already. What's not to like? And we're a pawn down even, right? What about d6 on that turn? Okay, accepted. We push. They push d6 here. This is okay. Same thing. Not a lot to remember here, is it? Compared to a lot of Sicilian lines. So again, push on. Again, f4, right? It's all the same stuff. Very, very straightforward. White is slightly better despite being a pawn down. And look at the center we've got. Look at all the open lines that we can use. Okay, just another couple of little ones. If we do this and they just push d6, then you can just develop it. Basically treat this like a Grand Prix attack, almost. Right? We've got really good control over d5, push d3, and being familiar with a Grand Prix, and now f4 at this point, this is a nice position for me. You know, I'll be very used to this. I'll certainly have a lot more Grand Prix experience than most Sicilian players with the black pieces. Okay, now what about e6? Okay, well, we can fly in, same as normal. Okay, this time the bishop recaptures because the knight has not developed. We force the bishop back. We grab the center. It says black is slightly better here. Again, we're denying knight f6. And this is just dead equal. Play on, enjoy yourself. So that's it. That is my whistle-stop tour of the Mengarini variation. Thank you to user whatever your name is for the recommendation. I like it. You know, like I say, I've looked at a bunch of, well, a few different kind of wing gambit variations, but this one, with all the traps in it, yeah, looks good. So thanks for sharing it with me. I'm now sharing it with you guys. Thanks for watching. See you soon.